Hey, what up, everybody? Stephen Breach coming to you. This is me coming to you when I'm thinking about my TNA Bound for Glory trip that I'm going to be leaving on here in the morning. Just clocked out from work. I'm going to be heading out of here, and I'm going to go to the gym and go home, get some food, go to sleep. I'm going to be going to this trip with my good buddy Mario. The first time I ever met Mario was at a SmackDown show. We just happened to be guys who sat next to each other, and we had a lot of fun. Both of us, it was the first time we ever sat front row for any kind of show before, so we just, we had a ton of fun. And then nothing really came of it. He left, I left, and then we went to this TNA house show. It was October of 2011, I believe is when it was. And basically, I went to the show, got there early. You go down there to ringside, you meet a couple wrestlers that were coming around. Kaz, Christopher Daniels, Kid Cash, Winter was down there. And, after that, you go back up, and there's a wrestling signing at the merch stand. I believe that was Abyss, if I remember right. And then after I met Abyss, I was just making my way back to the seat. I was, this was at the Memorial Coliseum, and I was just sort of looking around, and Mario stopped me. And honestly, when it came down to it, I didn't remember who he was, but it was cool that he remembered who I was. And after talking to him for about 15 seconds, I remembered, and shit just started to click. We had seats that were in two separate sections of the show when it first started, but then once the show started, Mario moved down to a ringside seat that was, I think it was right behind me. And so we watched the whole show that went along. As they do house shows, they try to get you to spend a little bit more money to make sure they're bringing in merch sales. I'm sure they bring in more money in merch sales than they do in ticket sales of these TNA house shows. They normally do a really good job. But this time, when the show first started, if you bought a TNA race truck, one of these die-cast things. This is one that I believe that Hermie Sadler drove. I think he's the guy that drives for TNA when they had a car. And Jeff Hardy designed the hood that was on it, so they made a replica of this thing, and I think they limited it to like 10,000 or some shit like that. But basically, if you bought this truck for, it was a god-awful number, $80, I think is what it cost, you and a friend could go backstage and meet Jeff Hardy, and he would sign your truck for you. I wasn't, I like Jeff Hardy. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I sort of looked at it as my one chance to meet Jeff Hardy. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get a shot to meet him again, so I did jump on this truck, and I bought it on my first impulse. Honestly, 2 minutes after buying this truck, I was like, did I just pay $80 to meet Jeff Hardy? It was sort of like, the situation presented itself, and it was like, oh, I guess let's do this. And then after that, I was like, fuck me, that's a shitload of money. One of the perks is you get to bring somebody backstage with you. I did go to the show by myself, but since I had met Mario and knew who he was and figured he wanted to go backstage and meet Jeff Hardy as well, I think I just said, if you kick in on this, I asked him for $20. He could come back with me, he could meet Jeff Hardy, and, we could meet him together. And then basically, if you did that, you also get to go in the ring at the end of the show. Normally, that's an extra $20. But since we bought this other thing for $80, you got to meet him twice. Sort of like getting 2 pictures, and just going into the ring was a kicker for it. Immediately when we went backstage, we went through the back curtain. There was really nothing backstagey about it. All the lights were out. It was dark. There was no real gorilla position. It was just a spot where the guys walked out from the curtain, and then they were walking down the aisle. There was a room off to the side that was lit. That was a hallway, and I saw Bully Ray walk by it, but that was really the only backstage shit we saw. Jeff Hardy was just standing there like when you go to the state fair and they have, like, for $1 you can see the world's smallest midget, or like the world's fattest person. He's just standing there. And honestly, like, the only way that you really could see him in this line, like, it was that dark, you could only see really the person that was in front of you. You could just see him in the camera shots as the people's flash went off, because you had the flash, because it was dark. There was no light in there. When you were getting up there, I shook Jeff's hand. he had been in a whole lot of trouble. This was the very, very start of his like rehabilitation tour. He had just came back from the Victory Road 2011 thing with him and Sting, so he came back as a babyface, and he was all smiles, shaking hands, and everything like that. And I don't think TNA would have put him in this position because Kurt Angle was supposed to be on this tour, but he had just got hurt right beforehand, so he wasn't able to make it out on this California tour. And I would bet money that Kurt Angle was supposed to be this guy that was put in this spot to meet the fans. Maybe Hardy would do one of them, but I don't think that Hardy was supposed to do both of these spots because he took a whole lot of shots. I mean, like, even though like you were in close range from this guy, I think a whole lot of people got a lot of courage just because they were standing in the dark to say this stuff, basically almost to his face, because he wouldn't know what was going on. I remember the guy who does the Shop TNA videos was laughing out loud at them. Like, I think that he had heard these before, and oh, Jimmy J, high five, that's his name. Like, he was actually, he was actually selling the jokes about Hardy being hooked on drugs and stuff like that. But as you make your way through the line, I got up there and I shook his hand. I said, Jeff, you do some crazy shit, man. You're the man. I just hope that you can get back on track and, live life right. I don't know why I would, take my few seconds of his life to give him, that kick in the pants sort of, help in his life. But who knows if he even listened to what the fuck I said. TNA has a strict rule when you go to their house shows that they only sign TNA items. But I had brought along my WWE encyclopedia. That's the one thing that I try to get signed by everybody. I got my truck signed, but fuck the truck. As I put the book out there for him to sign, the TNA security guy, the Atlas security, whatever their name, he stepped in. He said, "Oh no, they won't sign that. They only sign their stuff." And Jeff just said, "Give it to me. I'll sign whatever you want. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. Thanks for being here to help out TNA and everything like that." And I thought that was really cool. Jeff, I guess you can say breaking the rules to help the fans was really cool. I think that honestly Jeff was a good guy. I saw him meet a lot of kids, saw him meet a lot of people, and the biggest gripe I had with him and the Hardys was just them throwing their life away. I was just a huge fan of both of those guys growing up the whole time, and for them just Matt especially, just the whole thing started backfiring when he was trying to get fired from WWE publicly using YouTube, sort of like using the fans to help his cause, and it just felt like we were pawns in the game. It didn't make any sense to me. Jeff has his own, personal problems. It only sucks because, we were the consumer, watching these shows, and it felt like, because he was, screwing his life up, it was actually hurting the shows while he was hurting himself, and you don't want to see somebody throw their life away. I hope that Jeff's not a TNA guy for life. I like to hope that there's a spot in WWE for him. You would think that Vince could see a little bit of money in this guy, and he'd be brought back into the fold. I don't know how long his contract is, but TNA's always going to treat him like their main guy, like he's their star. TNA and their Bound for Glory series, and Bound for Glory was built around him winning the title last year, and that was sort of like the crowning moment to say that he's completely turned around and been on the up and up. But out of everybody that I think that I'm going to meet at this whole thing, I mean, it's going to be cool to meet Bully Ray because I've never met him before, and he's the champ right now. But Jeff's probably the biggest star that's going to be out there. Well, Sting's probably the biggest star, honestly, but I respect Sting, but I just don't really like him that much. I'm sure my photo, I'm just going to be like, good times. But there you go, man. I mean, Jeff's a cool dude. I'm sure a lot of guys have met Jeff because he's probably the guy that they put out a lot of TNA shows. And as this company is winding down, trying to find out what they're going to do, it seems like they're going to run less and less house shows. So if you ever do get a chance to meet Jeff Hardy, even if you have to pay extra for it, I honestly say, it'd definitely be something that you want to meet. He's a good guy, respects his fans, and I guess he can laugh at a joke. And so I had a good time with that. Maybe I'll upload the Hardy Party video onto this channel for my other one, because my other one's kind of dead. I haven't uploaded anything on there in a long time. So we'll see. TNA Bound for Glory. We're on our way. Peace out.